All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and decode the exact science-backed protocols for shrinking what's known as deadly visceral fat. Look, if you've been putting in the work but you're just not seeing the results you want, you are in exactly the right place.
Man, we've all been there, right? You cut the calories, you finally step on the scale, the number actually goes down, but that stubborn belly fat just refuses to budge. It is incredibly frustrating to feel like your hard work isn't paying off where you want it to the most. But today, we're going to look really closely at the clinical data that explains exactly why this happens, and more importantly, how to permanently fix it.
So here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the hidden belly fat. Number 2, foods that starve fat. Number 3, the magical exercise multiplier. And finally, number 4, why the scale lies.
Okay, let's kick things off with section 1, the hidden belly fat, what it is and why it's deadly.
So, when we talk about stubborn belly fat, we aren't just talking about the soft stuff right under your skin. That's called subcutaneous fat. What we're really zeroing in on today is visceral fat. This is the fat packed deep inside your body, literally wrapping itself around your internal organs. We're talking your stomach, your liver, your pancreas. This fat acts almost like a toxic organ itself, driving the chronic conditions that are slowly killing us today, like diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart disease, and even cancer. But hey, here is the incredibly good news that should honestly give you a lot of hope. While visceral fat is highly dangerous, the clinical literature shows it is actually the absolute easiest fat to lose once you know how to precisely target it.
Moving right along to section 2, foods that starve fat, dietary foundations. What you eat every single day either feeds your visceral fat or it starves it. It's really that simple. And one of the most powerful weapons in your dietary arsenal are carotenoid-rich foods. Think carrots, sweet potatoes, bell peppers, spinach, and squash. Notice the theme? They all share this vibrant visual profile. Carotenoids are the natural pigments that give these vegetables their intense orange, red, and dark green colors. But they do so much more than just make your plate look pretty. Actually, an 8-week randomized double-blind trial in Japan proved that simply eating these carotenoid-rich vegetables significantly reduces visceral fat by combating energy excess and lowering inflammation in the body.
Now, the hidden mechanism at play here goes way beyond just, getting your vitamins. You are literally changing your gene expression. Because carotenoids are such powerful antioxidants, they neutralize unstable, cell-damaging free radicals. By removing that oxidative stress, they stabilize your genes. Specifically, they help turn on the genetic pathways that burn fat, and they actually quiet down or turn off the genes that tell your body to store fat. It's basically biological reprogramming right at the cellular level. Pretty wild, right?
Beyond just eating vegetables, there's a key number you really need to remember, and that number is 600. A fascinating 12-week double-blind placebo-controlled trial, also in Japan, found that consuming exactly 600 milligrams of catechins daily resulted in a massive, significant reduction in visceral fat.
So, how do we practically get those 600 milligrams every single day? Well, the absolute best vehicle is green tea, and here is the precise protocol to maximize it. First, you need to choose minimally processed green teas like matcha or sencha to ensure the catechin levels are as high as possible. Second, when you consume this, it literally stimulates your nervous system to oxidize more fat. Even better, catechins inhibit an enzyme called lipase, which effectively blocks the fat you eat from being fully absorbed by your body in the first place. And third, the real magic of green tea is that it naturally contains caffeine. The caffeine works synergistically with the catechins to drastically enhance your body's overall fat utilization. It's an incredibly potent 1-2 punch for fat burning. All right, let's shift gears to section 3, the magical exercise multiplier, moving to melt fat. A massive meta-analysis of 117 different studies perfectly proves why you absolutely cannot skip exercise if you want to lose belly fat. Look, diet is superior for driving total body weight loss. If you want the overall scale to go down, you absolutely need a calorie deficit. But exercise actually has vastly superior effects specifically on reducing that deep, dangerous visceral fat. You really need both, but targeted movement is the unique key that unlocks the belly fat.
And to prove just how incredibly powerful this is, listen to this jaw-dropping number: 48%. Researchers looked at a group of people doing a very specific, totally manageable amount of exercise, and in just 2 months, they saw their visceral fat drop by nearly half, 48%. So what exactly was their routine?
Well, they literally just hopped on a bike and cycled for 45 minutes twice a week. That's the whole shebang.
Let's analyze the broader data from a systematic review of 84 randomized controlled trials. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, and vigorous aerobic exercise, like running, cycling, rowing, or even dancing, are the absolute most effective modalities for reducing visceral fat. And statistically, for adults, there's no significant difference between the two. Now you might be wondering, what about resistance training? Is it beneficial? Yes, absolutely. It is strictly essential for maintaining your muscle mass and keeping your metabolism humming. But if your primary goal over the next few months is purely shrinking visceral fat fast, dialing up your cardio beats strictly lifting weights.
So, the crucial takeaway here is identifying exactly how hard you should actually be working. You want to aim for about 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. But honestly, if you don't want to rely on a fancy fitness tracker, you can just apply this incredibly practical talk test. For moderate intensity, you can speak in full sentences, but you sound slightly winded to the person you're talking to. For vigorous intensity, you can only speak a few words before you absolutely have to pause to take a breath. Hitting this level of intensity for at least 45 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week, is your ultimate sweet spot.
And this brings up a vital biological rule we really need to understand. Exercise is dose-dependent. A recent study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine proved that participants who exercised more, or with a higher frequency of intensity, saw proportionally greater reductions in their visceral fat. More work equals more fat lost. But here's the catch. Caloric restriction is not dose-dependent. After a certain point, drastically restricting your calories gives you zero additional benefit. So please, do not starve yourself to lose belly fat. Maintain a healthy, small-calorie deficit, and instead just gradually step up your physical activity.
Okay, finally, Section 4, Why the Scale Lies, Ignoring the Scale.
Remember that cycling study we talked about a minute ago? Well, the massive internal health improvements documented in that exact study are frankly staggering. Their visceral fat dropped by 48%. Their insulin sensitivity improved by 41%, meaning their bodies were handling sugar vastly better. And their subcutaneous fat dropped by 18%. But here is the ultimate kicker. The total body weight of those participants stayed exactly the same. The physical scale literally did not move a single pound.
And guys, this is exactly why you cannot let a plastic box in your bathroom dictate your sense of success. The scale is a terribly poor indicator of your progress because it completely ignores these crucial, life-saving changes happening inside your body composition. If you are executing the right nutritional strategy with those carotenoids and green tea catechins, and you're putting in the work with your moderate to vigorous cardio, a stagnant number on the scale absolutely does not mean you're failing. You are literally melting dangerous fat off of your organs and building a profoundly healthier metabolism.
Which brings us to perhaps the most important rule of all. Consistency beats the perfect plan every time. You can map out a textbook, highly optimized HIIT protocol, but if you dread it so much that you only drag yourself to do it twice a month, it's going to lose. A moderate, brisk walk that you actually enjoy and do 3 times a week, every single week, is vastly superior. The absolute best exercise in the world is simply the one you'll actually stick with.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Ask yourself, will you keep chasing a miserable, perfect plan that you inevitably abandon, or will you finally commit to the imperfect, consistent routine that actually melts fat? Stop starving yourself. Grab some colorful vegetables, brew a cup of minimally processed green tea, and find an exercise you love enough to do it consistently. The science shows us exactly how to win this battle against visceral fat. Now it's just up to you to take the very first step. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and keep learning.